The IEBC has now backed down from its previous stance over the use of the manual register, saying it will comply with the High Court ruling.
The decision now raises questions on whether the use of the complementary manual register will create a window for irregularities, with the IEBC having maintained that an electronic voters register would preserve the integrity of the vote.
Meanwhile, several IEBC officers from Wajir and Garissa counties have been suspended over the illegal transfer of voters. NTV's Sydney Chazima has more details.
In compliance with the said decision of the High Court, shall now deploy the printed register of voters at the polling station.
We have no option other than complying with the High Court's directive, was the statement by IEBC Chair Wafula Chebukati. The Commission had previously stuck to its guns, stating that the use of a manual register would leave the voting process open to mischief.
In remote areas where there are no observers, or maybe where there are also strongholds, it's possible for people now just to use information, the register of voter like ID, to key in the KIMS, retrieve that information, allow the people to vote when they are actually not there in the first place.
But in complying with the High Court's directive on the usage of a manual register, questions now arise on how it will ensure that there will be no irregularities.
So there are two levels. It will be crossed out at the same time as the verification by biometrics, and it will also be used as complementary if all the KIMS kits failed.
With less than 3 days to the polls, not all election material is in the country. And while admitting that court cases in some areas may have led to the delays in printing of ballots, the Commission was adamant that materials will be distributed in time for the election.
All the ballot papers are here as of now, except 18 pallets for the areas where there were issues regarding petitions that were filed.
Meanwhile, the question of illegal registration and transfer of voters appears to be far from settled. The audit report by KPMG unearthed weak password systems and login details of ghost electoral officials. There were 14 non-returning officer users' accounts that had been granted the voter update privileges in IEBC's integrated database management system. This pointing to the possibility of hackers accessing the database and proceeding to deny voters their right to cast their ballots by either deleting their details from the roll or transferring them away from their preferred polling stations. Meanwhile, the EACC has declined a request by the Director of Public Prosecutions, Nurdin Haji, calling for a probe into the illegal transfer of voters. The DPP had singled out IEBC officers in Wajir and Garissa counties for blame over the irregular registration and transfer of voters in the two counties. The Commission acknowledges the report, stating that the officers have been suspended.
And those officers have since been suspended from duty, and we believe then that the DPP and the team will be able to get to the bottom of the matter.
Sydney Chazima, NTV.